The bits and pieces have come back from M-Tech in Oregon, and so let's take a look at the 685 kit and see what we've got here. The cylinder is back, it's bored out, looks like a good hone job, nothing particularly sexy about that, just a well done job. They've modified the head gasket so that it properly fits with the new bore. They provided me with a couple of new gaskets, an exhaust gasket and a cam chain tensioner gasket, as well as two base gaskets. One is 20 thousandths thick, the other is 10. I'm probably going to go with the 10 thousandths thick. That gives me a little more compression. I'm going to need to run 93 octane gas, but I always have anyway, so that's why I'll probably just go ahead and use the 10 thousandths. These are stainless gaskets, and there's horror stories about these leaking and things, so I'll be using a non-hardening gasket sealer with that. The head here has got the big valves put in it, the big stainless valves. It's also been ported. You can see some evidence there of porting. They've pretty much cleaned up the castings. It looks pretty good. They provided me with a new intake rubber, and they ported to that, and I think they needed to have this when they flowed the head. So this all looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the porting job. The valves look really nice. They are larger. Of course, that means they're only a millimeter larger, but they are the big valves. One thing to take note of is that the intake valves are larger than the exhaust valves. The exhaust valves, of course, are at the front of the head. When we look at the J&E piston here, you can see that the reliefs that are cut for the intake valves are larger than the ones for the exhaust valves. So we don't want to put this piston in backwards. In order to prevent myself from making a stupid mistake like that, I'm going to go ahead and mark it right now and put a little F here so that I know that that's to go to the front when I assemble all of this stuff. They've also provided me with what I hope is a solution to the oil burning problem, which is the rings that go with the piston. And so that's pretty much sum and substance of the stuff that I got back from M-Tech. Hopefully you can see this okay. What I'm doing is double checking the gapping on the rings. The Schnitzen instructions say that they're supposed to be gapped at no less than 18 thousandths, and when I looked at the number 2 ring, it had about 28 thousandths worth of gap and had no evidence that it had been filed, but the top ring here has obviously been filed and fitted, so I want to make sure that it has a gap of at least 18 thousandths, and 18 thousandths is just dragging there, so they seem to have done a good job of fitting that ring. I'm getting ready to put the base gasket on, and I've cleaned the case very well. You got to think about this for a minute. You're going to be putting a stainless gasket in between two aluminum mating surfaces. Normal gaskets will seal by compressing a little bit and filling any irregularities and stuff like that, but there's no way that two aluminum mating surfaces are going to have any effect on a stainless gasket. So everything has got to be scrupulously cleaned, and then you've got to use a good gasket sealer to make everything work. This is actually a low pressure application. There's no real pressure on this gasket, but it will weep if everything is not clean and you've got a good gasket sealer in there. Okay, we'll put this gasket on now. I've got to deal with the cam chain here. Got to get the gasket over the cam chain. And you can see this is a flimsy little gasket. You of course want to have your pins in place in the base of the cylinder that help locate the gasket. Got to get it over that rubber bit there, and down she goes. And then we'll hook the cam chain back up so it's out of the way again. Okay, now we'll just very lightly press that in place, and then I will go ahead and put some gasket sealer on the bottom of the cylinder, I think, and we'll get ready to put the piston in place and put the rings on. As I prep the cylinder to go on, there is one bolt that is a nasty little bugger. It goes down in the bottom of the cam chain galley right through that hole. And that is a bolt that is real easy. First of all, it's difficult to get in place if the cylinder is in the block. And secondly, it's something that you can drop down into the bottom of the engine. We don't want to do that. So before I get any further, what I'm going to do is put it in place, and then I'm going to put a little zip tie around it to hold it. And then as I drop the cylinder down into the block, as I get close, I can put that in a couple of turns, and then I can pull that off, and I'll never drop that into the bottom of the engine.